Hey, 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 spiritual superstars. I have an extremely special discussion to share with you. We have um, a really good friend of mine, a couple of really good friends of mine um, that are going to share some information that is so important. And with COVID, this is happening behind closed doors, and we're just going to shed some light on it. So, I am going to welcome my guest on in just a moment. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to be a part of the discussion, and just know that you are with family. There's no judgment. Um, Linda is founder of an organization and has a private group that is a safe haven where you can feel loved, appreciated, and learn how to heal from someone who has been there and someone who I trust with everything. I trust her with my children. I trust her with my personal information. I trust her with me. Okay. So before I introduce her, I just wanted to say thank you again. And hey, Norma. And so let's go on ahead and introduce Linda to our stream here. Linda, welcome.
Hello, hey. Thank you for that. That is so sweet of you to say, and I love you too. And thank you for having me. So it is very important and what got me thinking about it really deeply was Valentine's Day. And, because there was a lot of love being shared, which is beautiful. But it led me to think about people that don't have that in their lives and that are in situations where they do have love, but it's toxic love. And sometimes we don't even realize it as such. And sometimes, we can be so much in an abusive cycle, we don't really see it as that serious type of abuse. I mean, nobody has to be getting beat up every day. It doesn't have to be that brutal for someone to be experiencing abuse. It can be verbal, it can be mental, it can be emotional, it can be on so many different levels, and it can be all at the same time a lot of times. So it is. But once spirit lets you know that relationship that you're in or contemplating even being in, you see the signs a lot of time before you even get in these relationships. But because love, blinds us, we move forward even when the signs are there in the beginning. We still get into these karmic relationships which do not serve us. So it can be
So,
very tough on a lot of different levels.
so Valentine's Day is a big deal, like you said. And I know for me, it wasn't so much staying because I didn't have the income. It was, for me, it was, I was embarrassed. I didn't know that it was even considered abuse. Like you said,
Hmm.
I had been punched in the face a couple times. And at that point, I still didn't even really call it abuse. I thought it was a fight.
Hmm.
And that's as much as I was able to give it.
Right.
My very early 20s. And until I went to the dentist because he cracked my tooth. And the dentist asked me, "How did this happen?" And I told him I ran into the wall or something like that. Like
Hmm.
and I tried to act like it and I had practiced and everything. And he looked at me and it was very obvious that, I was busted.
Yeah. I have a portrait with my parents and my oldest son as a baby. And in that picture, I have a black eye, but it's immortalized. But nobody knows that that picture, I had a black eye but me and God. You know, nobody knows, not even the person that gave me the black eye. I don't think that person even realized that in that particular photo, that with makeup and glasses, that's how I covered it, you know. So nobody knew, you know. And I, like you say, we keep it secret, you know, because we think it's an isolated incident. We think it's not going to happen again. You know, and when that happened, I probably was 21 or 22 years old. So that was the first major time. I wasn't married, you know, I was single. Not some, I was in a relationship, but um, you know, so um, and I had just gotten out of a marriage, got into another relationship, and from the beginning, but the signs were there, but I ignored them because it was a person that I've known from childhood, met in church of all places. You know, you just think that, oh, something's wrong. Somebody's doing, you know, they're having a, this isn't who they are. But when somebody shows you who they are, it's who they are.
It's who they are.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So like I was really concerned. I remember I was thinking last year, I think as a retired educator, I think often and I pray so much about the children that are in abusive relationships.
Hmm.
And with the children and with the parent, could be a woman, could be a man,
Oh,
that
yes, I've
issue,
seen it.
right?
I've seen
So
it happen.
can you share a little bit about that?
Um, this was within my family, relatives, um, but there was a male that was being abused. And the incident that I witnessed a couple incidents, but the one that was most profound to me was at this time I was married. My ex-husband and I, we were having a party. You know, people used to have house parties back in the 80s. You know, that was, you know, what we did back then. I watched a young lady literally, you know, beat her husband and drag him out the back door of my house. And he never fought back. Um, but just the fact that it even happened in my home or at my home was, it was almost like it happened to me, you
Hmm.
know. But that was the first time I had ever seen a man being abused,
Right, right.
you know. So I've known for years that it happens because I saw that.
Hmm.
Um, and with this same couple, there were other incidents that I witnessed as well.
Wow. Um, we've got a
Question.
someone. I think it might be something that they're sharing. Norma is sharing, um,
Hi,
but
Norma.
yeah. So
Um,
with the children though being in it, um, and watching it, and that's a form of abuse. And so last year I was just like, okay, there's so much going on, and spirit is, uprooting some things. I don't know if is that your speaker that I can hear the back noise, the background a little bit. It might be mine. I might need to turn it down a little bit. That sounds great. Um, that we're in the age that this stuff is being uncovered, uprooted, and it's not going to be able to just stay embedded anymore. And so I really appreciate you coming out and sharing. But can you shed any light on the very real fear that some people stay because they don't have the money to leave? They've got one dominant person that's abusing, and they know they're holding them hostage financially.
That's crucial, um, because I was in a situation. Most abusers, and Norma, I dealt with a narcissist as well, so I fully know what you're talking about there. And those type of people, I had someone that didn't want me to work. Um, I didn't necessarily have to work, but I worked anyway. It was always a point of contention in the relationship, um, because he did not want me to work. But just being who I am, that was important for me to have my own income. It was just, that's just something I wouldn't give up on. But it does concern me now because, um, people stay for that very reason. I've had someone say to me, "What should I do?" And once I give that advice, the response is, "But if I do that, I won't have anything. Everything that is here belongs to him." So, or her, that is a lot of it. So that is part of what we want to try to do with the support group, is to give guidance and steps on how to create a plan. You can't always, even though you need to leave, you can't always just get up and leave that very moment. I made an elaborate plan to leave. I had to run away. I mean, literally, pack my car up and like run away. But I had to make a plan to run away. So I ran away, but I created a plan for myself. Um, I sent my kids to North Carolina with my parents. I took time off from work. I made an elaborate plan to get away. Um, but that plan served me well because, that was a turning point for me and my children. It was very difficult, very hard. I thought I was going to lose my mind, but, there is life on the other side of that type of trauma. But it does cause, I've been diagnosed with PTSD, depression, anxiety, because abuse, I didn't think PTSD was anything other than a term that you heard associated with the military. Um,
Which
pretty
stands
much
for,
with
share what that stands for.
post-traumatic stress syndrome. But lo and behold, that was my diagnosis. But I know why that was my diagnosis. I never thought that in a million years, and it took me years to get that type of help, to get professional help, because being a spiritual person, I was a church going person, and I fully believe that God can heal and make you whole. But even with that, and with your spirituality and your faith, 9 times out of 10, for me, 10 times out of 10, you need professional help as well to back that up. If you are a victim of something like that, to be completely healed and whole. I still have a therapist right now to this day. Uh, and I do feel like I'm a survivor. I'm on the other side. But healing is a continuous process. It never really ends. So you never really can just say, "Oh, I'm healed," because you are. But continually things happen in life, circumstances come up, and flashbacks and memories come out of nowhere when spirit determines it's time for it to come, or a reminder, but there's a lesson in all of it.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we just need somebody else to talk through it with, or, somebody that's been there. Because a lot of times, especially, I had someone that everybody loved. He was charming. Um, Nobody would have thought in a million years that what was going on was going on. But, so life doesn't always look, or it's not always what it looks like. Absolutely not. So
Well,
there's so many dynamics.
yeah. And so, what you said about the plan, you had to have an elaborate plan. And the
Yeah.
support structure, though, because I know in your group you provide such great support. I mean, it is second to none. The support that you give your clients it's outstanding. And the community that you have created is, it is just, it's all love. And there's this togetherness. It's like just a cohesive
Right.
unit, and you can actually feel the healing energy within your community. So it's so amazing to me, because I have been privy to actually working with other experts in your field, and sometimes it's just not natural like that. You come across and you have this, it's just an expertise that I just admire. And the fact that you even offer the free consultation on that, which is just almost unheard of, because with with any kind of coach or person in this field, honestly, I mean, let's just say what it is. It is all about the money. And
Yeah.
a lot of times it really is. So I like the fact that you have this step by step that women, and now we know that men can follow, and you actually have this structure. It's an infrastructure, a network that they can come into, and you've got these tools in place so that they are stable, so that they have these options to be financially stable, which I've never seen that before at all.
Right. Because when we're in a situation like that, it's hard to calm the mind, the body, the soul to even get any type of clarity. Um, and if someone knows about your situation, they're going to give you what their opinions are. So you're going to get a lot of different opinions from, depending on who you let in. Back when I was younger, there was this, a lot of older women would say, well, a half a loaf is better than none, in reference to having a man, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that train of thought. There was a lot of that, well, just you were supposed to stay, you know, you're just supposed to stay, because you're not supposed to get divorced. You're not supposed to, but says who? Because God doesn't want us to be in abusive relationships. That is not what God has for us. That is not what He wants for us,
Right.
So by no means does God ordain you staying in an abusive relationship. I just don't believe that.
At all. And I totally agree with you. Um, and thank you everybody for commenting. And please share, ask questions, because Linda's going to give her information before we end. And I know that she's got to get back. She's got a packed schedule tonight. And so we thank her for giving her time. I don't want to take up all your time. I know that you were very gracious with, agreeing to meet with us. And so I thank you so much. Rally said, how do you know if you're in this situation? So to please shed some light on that.
Well, a lot of times it can be little things like nothing you do is right, or you're noticing changes in their behavior, but they reflect that over onto you, to cover what's going on with them, because it's a manipulative type of thing. They try to make you feel insecure. It starts with, it's almost like a grooming. I guess it could be in relation to I guess how sex offenders are groom their victims. A lot of times it's just it's not blatant outright. It's just, it can be a grooming of, especially with a narcissist. You will think that you're just in a loving, wonderful relationship and you're doing everything that you're supposed to do for this person. But meanwhile, they're just making a plan to have everything their way and have you, it's almost like they bought and paid from you from the store, and they sit you over here and this is where you're supposed to fit, and they only see you in that the way that they see you, and anything outside of that causes turmoil. And then when there's cheating involved in other people, it gets really messy. There's, I have a daughter that has three siblings the same age as her. So there was a lot of infidelity. There was just, and I didn't really, when I found out about all the infidelity, I was having my third child at that point. So they can be very skilled at hiding what's really going on. And then you'll start noticing tensions out of nowhere where you think you should be having a normal day. They're getting upset over, you laid the dish down in the wrong place, or you broke a glass and they're exploding because you broke a glass, and you're like, okay, what's happening?
You
And
don't
you
know where
start to
it's
think,
coming from.
yeah, you don't know where it's coming from. You think it has something to do with you, but it absolutely has nothing to do with you. It has something to do with the person that you're with.
That's so
And
important.
when those small signs start happening, that it just snowballs. And sooner or later, if a person is an abuser, sooner or later it comes to light.
What are
Um,
the signs that we should be watching out for even before we enter into the relationship?
um, Not being able to communicate, like one-sided communication. Um, you can express yourself, but you're not getting clear communication from the other person. You need to be able to recognize when a person is telling you what you want to hear versus telling you, you need to listen to your intuition. We get that intuition when something isn't right, but most time we overlook it, because we think that, you know, sometimes we think we can change someone. We think if we pray
Oh,
hard enough, if it's just going to get better. And
yes.
it just isn't. I know for me, I finally got to the point where I just said, God, can you just reveal this person to me? Can you just show me everything? And when I asked that question in all sincerity and honesty, wanting God to reveal to me what was going on, just laid it right out in front of me,
What
you
did you
know.
see? Because that's exactly what happened to me, and I think that's so important. If you can just share.
Well, with the other women, I had started having the inklings that there's something's got to be going on. I mean, I knew I wasn't doing anything where that should be happening, but that I felt that that's what was going on, but I couldn't prove it. I couldn't,
Right.
uh, you know. But then when I prayed and I asked for the signs to be revealed, then pictures of him with someone else, or I had women that started calling me, started coming by my house. Um, Somebody sent him flowers. He changed the label, put my name on it, and give them to me.
Mm,
All kinds of. I had a woman call me one time and say that she was married to my husband. I
oh,
mean, who does that? I
right.
mean, that's just how crazy, that my life got at one point. It
Now,
just,
I see, excuse me. Um, this is different. Jane says, I'm struggling with my son's behavior. I will never forget watching a Oprah show way back in the 80s. And this little young man was on there. He was my age, and he was abusing his mother.
yes. Um, as a mother, and I don't, my sons were very fortunate to have my father as an influence. I realized very young that they were going to be bigger than me, stronger than me. So I kind of instilled fear in them when they were really little. And all I can say is God blessed me and it paid off. But um, we don't deserve to take that type of behavior off of anyone. I don't, if it's a child, like I say, I have grown sons right now to this day. They are 42 and 39 years old, and they would not dare disrespect me on any level. because I've never allowed it. I won't allow it. It's just, um, it's just something that nobody should have to deal with. Um, but sometimes males, and I don't know, society where they get these ideals from. 27 years ADHD, sometimes nice, but we are different, and that's understandable. And but it sounds like, Jane, are you getting any type of counseling? Because it's going to take the both of you. He's going to have to be willing to get some help, for the two of you to better your relationship, or you're going to have a communication strategy on, and even if it's just you being able to recognize what triggers him, if you can get a handle, or he fears losing you. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So with me, when my abuser was in fear of losing me, he became more abusive, the more fear, because he knew that I was going to leave at some point, because I had stated that, many times. So I believe he knew at some point I would leave, but at some point he thought he could, make me afraid to the point that I would not leave. Um,
I'd love to ask Jane, um, as someone who has experience with emotional and behavioral issues in children in the educational system, but not as an adult, um, with ADHD. Do you have support in your area? Who is supporting you locally, physically? And with COVID,
right.
we have so many resources that are just depleted right now. And that's the reason why we needed to have this discussion, because it's so important. And I love that, because we want to get you all the help that you need. And Linda
Right.
is very
I
well
mean,
equipped
I
to.
don't know it all, but I would do
Right.
all I can to help you connect with the resources that you need to get the help that you need, because and there's no shame in getting help. For a long time, my girlfriends were my support system.
Now,
When I was.
someone mentioned that. What
Mhm.
what about when you don't have any friends?
When you don't have friends, then you need to have resources. You need to have groups like this that are online. You need to have, valid numbers where you can call for assistance. You need to know what those local agencies are in your area that can help you, in the event of an emergency or anything of that nature. And the domestic, there's, the federal domestic violence website, has resources, for every state, in every area. But I want to build a network where, women can maybe have someone to connect with in their area, um, because it's important, I think, to have someone. Because where I was, my family, my immediate family was in a different state, but I had a strong support system amongst my girlfriends. So that was very important. I don't know what I would have done without them.
And Deanna, definitely want to get to Deanna's question in just a minute. And Jane, we're going to go ahead and ask Linda to give you her business line. I think that they can text you on this line only. Is a text only
Yes.
option? Okay, yeah. So all of you who are seeking help or resources and you would like Linda's help, and would like to look into her services. And remember, she gives a free complimentary, which is, pretty much unheard of in her field, a complimentary 15-minute consultation. And so if you are, needing that, Linda, can you share how they can get in touch with you, please?
You can send me a text at 248 248-0169. That's 248-238-0169.
All right, all right.
And I will respond within 24 to 48 hours.
All right, all right. So, I definitely want to start with Deanna in just a minute. But when you said you asked God for your guidance, you asked God for your spiritual guidance. It is exactly what I did. And I think that that is so important that we did it differently. And it was
Mm-hmm.
the same spiritual guidance that came in because you prayed for God to show you what you needed to see, and that's exactly what I prayed for too. And remember what she said, spiritual superstars, in all sincerity, it was the openness of her, the soul within her human, just opening up and really welcoming divine source in and vulnerability. And what I saw the very next day was, and I did this, I had asked my mother if I could come back home and sleep in my bed, and she said, sure, of course, and I did that. And I finally prayed like I had never prayed before. And I just prayed for God to show me, divine source, please show me my spiritual guidance the way that I can receive it. If you show me that I need to leave, I'll do it. I'll be grateful. I won't look back. I won't take anything with me. We talked about feeling guilty, and we're gonna talk about her question in this minute or address it. And Linda spoke a little bit about the financial um, hostage. Just holding someone hostage because they are the breadwinner, and then the outside connections that are also toxic, saying, stay.
Right.
Um, and so the very next day, I knew that I slept like a baby, and I knew I came home to a home that wasn't mine anymore. And it's what I saw. I received it immediately. VHS tapes, Polaroid pictures, which is, old school DVD or CD player or CD disc with some pictures of a woman in my house. And they were doing things that they shouldn't have been in my house. And so that right there, I want to make sure that we bring that home. It
Mm-hmm.
through spiritual guidance. We just have to, Lord, please help me. Lord, please.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. Lord, please.
Mm-hmm.
So, Deanna, and can you just please repeat your text number one more time?
Sure. 248-238-0169.
Thank you. So we
And
have Deanna who's saying, "How do I leave my kid's father without feeling guilty?"
um, you want me? I'll answer because I've done it. You're not going to be able to do it and not feel guilty, but you'll get over it. That's first and foremost. You're going to feel guilty. But what you have to do is look at things from the perspective of, in the long run, is this relationship going to be damaging for your children and you? Um, will you be better parents to your children apart or together? You have to look at it from those circumstances. I didn't want to take my children away from their father, and I didn't. I left, and there was a time frame in which orders of protection, all that type of thing went on, but eventually things calmed down, and he was able to see his children every weekend, and things went fine, and things are still going fine here 30 plus years later. But it's a process. But what it comes down to, what's going to be the healthiest situation for you and your children? But there's definitely going to be guilt involved, but it's something that you're going to have to work through. So I can't tell you that you can do it without guilt, because I think any mother wants their children to grow up in a two-parent home. You don't have children by a man with the anticipation of walking out and leaving. That's just not what we do. But sometimes that's what we have to do, unfortunately.
Ooh, that hit me hard. That hit me hard. And I think, I think the Most High that I didn't have children. He did at the time. And I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine. And I often find myself just thanking the Most High that I am in a better financial situation right now, that, you know, because I know people that are staying
Mm-hmm.
in abusive relationships that are just there. It's almost a mental, emotional, hostage situation. And even when it's parents, we talked about that. And I think Norma was sharing that she was staying with her father, that is a toxic connection. Any advice there when when it's a parent child and there's not any special needs or going on?
I'm a firm believer that we have to set boundaries. I
Mm,
don't care who it is. Um, what's most important is that you protect your energy, that you protect yourself, um, from things that don't serve you.
mm,
No one's energy that is negative, abusive, toxic, um, no one deserves that in their life. But we as human beings, um, have to know where to draw the line. We have to know where to set the boundaries. We have to know when to step back. We have to know when we're doing too much.
mm.
Um, we have to know when we have to totally let some people go. Period. You know, um, sometimes it can be. Sometimes it is all or nothing, but sometimes it doesn't have to be all or nothing. But in every situation like that, you have to start with setting some boundaries. You have to identify where the problem is stemming from and where that start with that first boundary. What's the first thing? If it's like, say, for instance, I'm picking somebody up, and I'm taking them to do something that they need or want to do, but they're arguing and cussing me out every time I go pick them up. Okay, then it's time for them to get somebody else to do that. That is what I mean by setting boundaries. You have to protect yourself at all times. And
So
that's what
when
we have
you
to learn to do.
now, what I know, which what they may not know, um, is that you actually help in your group. You have different tools and techniques, and like this step by step for people to really get on their feet and to really devise that plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's really important to share, because I can still remember feeling like, who do I tell? What do I do? I don't even know where to start. And then with I'm so sorry. I'll never do that again. Or it was because of such and such. And
Mm-hmm.
then going back to, I thought I could change him, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be the one to change him.
Mm-hmm.
And the family all knew that he was very abusive. He was worse with his ex, which was the children's mother, way worse, and they were battle fighting. So I thought that, okay, this is the way a relationship goes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I think it's really important that you said, period. We have to just leave and you have to set those boundaries. But so you are helping people in your community kind of break it apart and kind of help them piece things together.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Because it definitely depends on geographically where you are, the resources that are available. I mean, everybody's situation is different, so everybody needs their own personal strategy to get away or to get to where it is they're trying to get to, whether it's out of a relationship all total, or if you're just trying to get to a better place in that relationship. Um,
Right.
but it's got to start somewhere. Nobody doesn't do anything to make a change or to do something to make a start, then nothing changes. It probably will just get worse.
So maybe you can address New Leaf Tarot.
It's like a trauma bond. Yeah, some people can be hooked to dysfunctional relationships. Some people get into the fighting and the making up. The making up part is, the good part. So it's okay to go through all that other stuff because then you're going to get the feelings that you want from this individual. Those will come again. But that's not the way that's supposed to happen. Those feelings are supposed to be there. Period. There's not supposed to have to be uh, fussing and fighting for someone to express love towards you or to, apologize and to make it everything better. Those are just not healthy relationships.
Right.
It's
Right.
just not.
So I know that we are rearing past the time that I agreed to get her kind of in and out, everybody. She is extremely busy. You talk about me being busy. This woman's schedule, we are blessed to have her tonight. Let me tell you something. Linda, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And I'm just
I
gonna
can
put
help
it out
somebody.
there.
That's what it's all about. If I help one person, that's what it's all about.
Thank you. If I put it, please, we definitely would love for you to come back. Um,
Absolutely. Anytime.
all right, all right. So I do want to just address this one last New Leaf Tarot. This is a big
Mm-hmm.
deal. I think it's sexual manipulation with narcissistic energy there. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge because when we are, what I experienced, I just remember that the makeup was something that I did not want to do. And I struggled with calling it the R word.
But that's what it is. I've experienced that. That is exactly what it is. And I, as much as told my abuser that that's what it was. But, of course, they don't see it that way. Especially if you're married, they don't see it that way.
Right. Right.
They don't think you're supposed to have the right to say no.
Right. Well, I thank you so much, Linda. If you would be so kind as to share your business text line again, where our spiritual superstars can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. That's 248-238-0169.
And put it in the chat. We got 248 368
238. 248. No, see, that's wrong. 248-238-0169.
0169. Okay, so I got 248-238-0169.
Absolutely.
All right, so spiritual superstars, you can text that number. And Linda said that she give her 24 to 48 hours, I think, to respond. And don't forget, I have been privy to her group, and it is amazing. And she's offering something in that group, but you got to get over there to see it. And I really think you're going to be totally, totally impressed. So, thank you so much again, dear Linda and spiritual
Take care.
superstars. Have a beautiful night. Stay safe and healthy.
Bye, everybody.